There we are. I will. Okay. Posted there. So that is on Facebook. There is that copy also. We're going to make sure that is shut down. There we go. So we'll give everybody just a couple minutes to show up. I see that 3 people are here. If you guys are here, say hi so we can say hi to you. Got shared on Facebook, and there's still time, peeps who are hanging out. If you guys would like to have other people come and join us, share this link. Eric, hi. Hi, Eric. Who else is here? 4 people. Hannah, hi, Hannah. Hannah is here today. We've got 5 people. We're slowly growing. Guys, go ahead and share that with your friends on the Book of Faces if you want them to come hang out with us as well. Hi, Kristen. I'll make sure that we also get this shared in the Artist's Forge. All right. I think we have lots of awesome people here already. So shall we get this show on the road? I think we shall. All right. Welcome everybody to the social hour presented by the Artist's Forge. Today, my guest is somebody who I've been really excited to talk to for a long time. Cheryl Walsh, well, watch me just bungle my words right at the beginning. That's all right, you're welcome. Cheryl Walsh and her art are, in a word, ethereal. Cheryl is a magnificent and award-winning underwater fine art portrait artist and a brilliant storyteller who brings her visions to life in the depths of her underwater studio. Combining the science of working underwater with the art of photography paired with the vintage and avant-garde fashion allows Cheryl to orchestrate some of the most beautiful and awe-inspiring fine art portraits in the world. The beauty and majesty of her exquisite art has earned her countless awards across the international stage, made up of more than 60 coveted WPPI print and image competition awards, including the WPPI Grand Award in 2016, the International Portrait Image of the Year, and Triple Master distinction. Cheryl has also been awarded with the Canon Camera International CPS Image of the Year Award and was named one of the top 11 fine art portrait photographers in the world by the Society of International Fine Art Portrait Photographers. Cheryl has also been published in both feature articles and cover stories in a cornucopia of renowned publications such as Enchanted Living Magazine, Pacific Coast Magazine, Camera Craft Magazine, Bespoke Magazine, and others. Her portraits blur the line between old world painterly and photorealistic to create a resplendent work of art that could line the walls of any fine art gallery or museum. Her stories are vibrant with splendor she relays through her portraiture that captivate audiences around the world. She's passionate about maintaining full control over the quality and representation of her art, and she does this by printing all of her images herself. Her work, not only as a photographer and artist, but as a printer as well, has afforded her the opportunity to be a Canson Infinity Fine Art Paper brand ambassador. Beyond her awards and recognition for her otherworldly portraits, Cheryl is also a dedicated educator and mentor with ProEDU who has imparted invaluable knowledge on the art of printing to numerous budding fine artists. You may even get the chance to learn from Cheryl in person at events like WPPI, Photo Plus Expo, or the Canon Learning Center. If you get that chance, take it. Cheryl is a masterful and enchanting photographer, educator, and artist who truly brings creativity and fine art portraiture to new depths. Cheryl, I am so excited to have you here with me today. Oh, looks like we're muted. We're muted.
Unmute.
Ah,
there. I feel like there's nothing more I could possibly accomplish now. So I'm done. Thank you very much for coming and have a good night.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big, huge thanks again to Kristen Slack. She has been helping me behind the scenes doing research and making sure that we tell everybody how amazing our guests are. So Kristen, thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, she's outstanding. So Cheryl, yay, I'm so glad we get to do this.
Yeah,
when I first started setting this up, you were one of the people I was initially like, oh, I have to try to get her on my show.
I know it was a long time ago that we were going to do this, and I'm sorry, life got complicated and
yeah, don't be sorry. This has been a hard year.
It's been something. It's been
it really has.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like other people are dying to know. I am dying to know, how did you get in photography into the first place?
Photography?
Yeah.
You know, I think people are either drawn to photography or they aren't. There are people who are camera people, and there's the rest of the world. You know, we can kind of break everyone down into these two factions. And I was always just attracted to the camera and good photography. You know, it wasn't something I could really do until later in life, but it's something I was just always attracted to.
Sure. So as a kid, were you like,
no,
no, nothing.
No.
So you didn't paint or draw or anything like that?
Well, I was always a little artistic, not necessarily any good at it, but I was always interested in drawing and painting. And, you know, and when my daughters were little, I would paint murals on their walls and that kind of thing. So photography just sort of grew out of that.
Okay. So was it for you, like, did you get to a point where you wanted to make things that you just didn't have the skill to make? Or how did the act of photography come into your life?
You know, like I said, my daughters were little and I wanted nice pictures of them, and I tried to take them and they weren't very good. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm really going to have to learn this. And then it was just, you know, the more I learned, the more I liked, the more I liked, the more I tried, the more I tried. You know how it is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's like a ladder, right?
Or stairs. Into this big thing that takes over your whole life.
Yeah. Your entire life.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
When I interviewed Brett, he said, you have to be an underwater person first and a photographer second to be somebody who shoots underwater. Is that true for you?
No.
So the underwater came next.
Yeah, it's so funny because he and I is Brett Stanley, underwater photographer.
Brett Stanley. Yes.
We don't live far from each other. We're really good friends. We can kind of be considered, I guess, competitors in a way, in that we both, you know, photograph underwater, but we're totally different. The work we do is totally different. And I have a great admiration for him and what he does. I'm really lazy. He like builds sets and has lights and does all this stuff. Whereas I'm just, you know, give me a camera, I'll take some pictures. But, you know, yeah. So no, I wasn't particularly an underwater person, but I did a photo shoot underwater for a high school senior. I have a high school senior portrait photography business.
Right.
And wanted to take a picture of a senior in her prom dress underwater. And the very first time I did it was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. This is really going to be a problem. And it's sort of taken over my life ever since. Yeah.
It's so funny to hear how people start, especially when you say this thing that people admire you for literally around the world. You're like, yeah, this was going to be a problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I knew right away. As soon as I tried it, and, you know, feel like I failed miserably because I didn't know what I was getting into. Everyone sort of has the same idea. I'll just get a camera and get in the water, and then it's all about the photography. And it's like, no. It's, you know, you're working in a liquid environment and there's science involved in that. And, you know, it's accepting that, and that you have to deal with the science. And if you don't deal with it, you're not going to be successful. So, and that's a totally different science from photography. And then the science
Right.
of photography changes underwater. So you've got a lot of different things to think about. Yeah, and then maintaining my own pool for this. So it's basically a studio that just happens to be underwater. You know, my poor kids never got to use our
Right.
pool.
They're like, there it is. It's so beautiful. It looks
It's
so
right
refreshing.
there. Yeah.
But
You can
no.
make an appointment. I just need 36 hours notice. And yeah.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So your
I was
kids had an
awful.
entirely different experience as photographers' children.
Yes.
That just means we don't get to have a pool.
Yeah. It was not fair to them at all. And I appreciate their sacrifice.
I think all photographers' kids have their something, you know, that
Oh,
they
yeah.
like. Mine always get dragged off and I'm like, hold this thing, shake this dress, you know. They're like my little behind the scenes minions.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And thank goodness, because there's definitely been some times where if I did not have them with me, I would not have gotten what I wanted. So they
Exactly.
probably
Yeah.
deserve to get paid for that.
Yeah.
So we have Hannah Walker is here. Kristen is here. Dennis Dunbar. Hi, Dennis. Becca Bjorky is here. Renee Robin is here. And she likes my shirt. Thank you, madam. Hilma Smith is here. So thank you guys. Welcome. If you have questions for Cheryl, make sure you get them in the comments and we will address them as the interview goes on. Dennis said, interesting point about the science of dealing with a liquid environment, which is true. So for people who have never tried to shoot underwater before, aside from the obvious things like, well, you have to hold your breath, what are some of the things that you deal with that people might not expect to be complications when you're shooting?
Well, buoyancy for one. I mean, our bodies are buoyant in the water and everyone's a little different. So it's figuring out where you're going to be in the pool and how deep you're going to be, if it's safe or not, and weighing yourself down. And then, you know, water it has mass. So you're looking through something that has atmosphere, is actual atmosphere. You know, for me, it's become a scientific equation of what time of year is it? So where is the sun? What is the angle of the sun? What is the color of the sun? Because it changes during the year. How long will that sun be up? How quickly will it set? And then what is the temperature? The temperature of the air, the temperature of the ground, the temperature of the water, and what is the ability of my model? How, you know, how flexible are they with their core body temperature? How much can they handle being colder than their core body temperature, and for how long? And then with the model, you know, what is their body type? What is their muscle and bone mass like, density? How long can they hold their breath? You know, what are their clothing like? Is there buoyancy to the clothing? Will the clothing get wrapped around them? You know, how safe do they have to be with that? And then the color. So the color temperature of the water changes with the color temperature of the sun, and the clothing they're wearing, and skin color and lighting. And, you know, so that's just a few things to think about.
Just a few,
Yeah,
couple,
on
you
top
know.
of everything else.
I mean,
Yeah.
like no biggie, just a couple things. So
Yeah.
how do you account for, number one, the atmosphere? And then number two, do you focus mostly, I speak well today, apparently. Do you focus mostly on using natural light with the sun when you have, you know, kind of certain directional light, or do you add additional light?
So I'm using diffused, modified natural light and video lights.
Okay.
I don't like flash. That's not the kind of work I'm trying to do. So flash isn't appropriate for what I do. So I have video lights, and I had custom underwater housings made for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with the flash, is that because it's just to try to have the strobe effect come in and hit like certain poses is too difficult? You want to have that kind of free flowing?
Right. The work I'm creating, I'm trying to create something that's very ethereal and flowy, relaxing, has a sense of movement to it.
Sure.
And flash is very harsh and very, you're catching that split second, and I don't want
Right.
that. I want the feeling of movement and flow in my work. So
Sure.
it's just a completely different experience, and it's
Right.
not at all.
And I imagine it does create a different environment for you as well when you don't have this kind of flashing happening
Oh,
where your model feels like she must hit things so you can catch, something mid movement.
yeah.
It
And
seems
it's
almost like it might
impossible.
be a dance between you instead.
Yeah, it's impossible. There's no controlling anything to such a specific degree underwater. You
Right.
can have the model throw the hair, throw the dress. That doesn't mean her eyes are going to be open at the exact moment that that flash goes off.
Right.
So, and then that constant flashing of light, that's exhausting for the models.
Sure.
Exhausting. So I would rather have what I have, and the light that I have, you can adjust the color temperature and the brightness on the fly. So, so it suits my needs perfectly.
Sure. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And then what kind of conversations are you having with your models beforehand? Because I can imagine, number one, obviously you don't have this ability to easily communicate with each other. Is there something you talk about beforehand on how to prep them for, how to give you what you need underwater, or how
Mhm.
does that go?
Yeah, I mean, all of my shoots always start with some type of story, some kind of theme or feeling or story. And for the most part, I'm shooting in a way the same person every time. I'm looking for someone who is relaxed and confident and competent and graceful and strong and feels like they're where they want to be, doing what they want to be doing. And
I
that they're
love that.
so amazing and so incredible that they don't even have to breathe. And that changes the narrative from I can't breathe to I don't even have to. And that's a whole different mindset. Right.
Yeah.
So, I tend to work with the same people over and over again for a good reason.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
understand me, they get me, they, have the same feelings, and they're capable of being that person. So, yeah, it's, I have a few models I work with on a very regular basis, and, we'll go under and then come up. And when we come up, I'll say, okay, I just need you to be a little more, that little more, that thing. And then, oh yeah, I totally get it.
Got you. Gonna be
Yeah.
it. Gonna be the
Yeah.
thing.
Yes. They know what they've done and what they haven't done, and they know what I'm looking for, and they know that I don't have the words, and they do it every single time. Yeah.
They are definitely amazing. Even just getting to see some of the behind the scenes of watching them down there for way longer than I can imagine myself, like being down there and posing and looking beautiful and elegant and these delicate hands and like
Yes.
expressions. And I can just imagine literally, I showed this to Brett, but when I'm underwater, I go like this.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
like I use my top lip to like plug my, so I would be like the worst person in the world to try to photograph underwater. So the fact that they're able to radiate this, like you said, they're just so composed and calm and want to be where they are. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah. And that's my job. My job is to get them there. You can't Photoshop in that feeling. That
Right.
has to be real. They really have to feel safe and comfortable and all of those things, beautiful and confident and competent. And that's my job, to make sure they feel that way.
Right.
So, if that wouldn't happen, that would be my failure, not theirs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But, we're going underwater for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, maybe. It's not that long.
Right.
It's not that long. We go under, we come up, and we talk. And that constant communication is really important.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially given like the nature of what you're doing. And so we have a couple questions that people want to get, and then I have one that I want to ask as well. So Ryan Flanagan would like to know, do you ever have any issues with color loss at deeper depths? And if so, how do you compensate?
If I went to deeper depths, I might. So I have my own studio. That's the only place that I work. When I started, I would work in other pools, and I learned very quickly that I was really uncomfortable with that, particularly the idea of dying in someone else's pool was just not what I wanted to do. So I have complete control over my environment. And with underwater, there's in a way, so little that you can control. At least if I can control my environment, that is a huge portion of it. And so I can relax and don't have to worry about that. So my pool is 7.5 feet deep. That's it. And I don't go, and where I am in the pool, I have weights on me, a lot of weight on me to keep me under. But when I stand up, I'm out of the water. So I can stand up and breathe very easily and comfortably. So I'm never getting that deep. I don't want to be that deep. I don't. My image is, I want that reflection at the surface. I always want that reflection at the surface, and I want it to be straight out of camera.
And what is it about that reflection that makes it so important to keep it there?
For me, you know, the entire concept of an underwater photograph is to have that sense that they're underwater, that there's something happening there that's different and not always explainable, but that reflection is part of sort of a hint that that's where they're at. And then duality. If you take my pictures, turn them upside down and look at that reflection, it's often really ugly. Really ugly. I don't edit it. I don't fix it. I don't make it pretty. And that's the duality of life, you know, the beauty with the pain and the negative and the ugly. And, you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And seeing your work and then understanding the reason behind why you keep it there. When I talked to Brett, we talked about the fact that there are some underwater photographers where if it wasn't for the fact that their clothing and everything is floating, you wouldn't be able to tell that they were in water. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know for him as well, that knowing you're underwater is a really important aspect of the photography itself.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hard to work with guys because they don't have the flowing hair most of the time and the clothing that floats. So it's just not quite the same. Unless it's a real special situation. But no, that's, you know, one of the reasons I work with the outfits that I work with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Sean says, my son is a dive instructor in the Bahamas and just started doing underwater photography. These are such excellent points. So it sounds like being able to hear that, she's like, yeah, and yeah. So Bobby Thompson is here. Hi, Bobby. Jeff Benyon is here. He said, I love Cheryl's work.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
So glad to see everybody here today. Don't forget to get your questions in for Cheryl because we're starting to near the halfway mark. So make sure that you get those in. So why underwater? Like, I know that, you know, doing that first one and you were like, oh my goodness, you know, what made you stay long enough to make the kind of work you're making, to graduate into the kind of work you're doing now?
I mean, there was definitely a challenge. And, you know, I'm always interested in a challenge. So especially something that seems impossible, you know, and kind of having the indication like, oh, you can't do that, being told you can't do that. Tell me I can do something and I might doubt myself, but tell me I can't. And I'm going to make sure I do it. Yeah. Yeah. I'll make sure I do it. So there was that, but for me, mostly it was wanting to create really creative work. Now I have this high school senior portrait business, which I absolutely love. I love 17-year-olds and where they are in their life, and they're not a kid anymore, but not an adult yet either. And they're their own person. And so much of senior photography has been kind of, based on the photographer and whatever's hip and trendy right now. And I always found that disrespectful. So my goal has always been to create something that's very much about that person, who they are, and completely reflective of them. Well, then there's no creativity for me in that.
Right.
Which is fine, but then I need to find my own creative outlet. So, so that's kind of where this came in. And I tried working, doing creative shoots on location or in the studio. And, I just can't, it's too overwhelming.
Right.
Like many photographers and artists, I'm an introvert. And that just means that I take in everything that the world shows me, every little thing. And it's difficult for me to concentrate and enjoy the process. I'm looking at your t-shirt and it's red. And then I'm thinking about red, and then red shoes, and then shoes that are made, and I can easily go off the rails. So doing a photo shoot and having other people around and hair and makeup and stylists, and it gets to be too much. When I'm underwater, no one can bother me. No one can distract me. It's quiet. It's dark. Everything moves in slow motion. And when you see my behind the scenes videos, that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm seeing. And it's so beautiful. I mean, it really is stunning to watch this happen in front of me.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Just
so
getting to see your
selfishly,
behind the scenes. I feel that. So I can only imagine what it's like seeing it in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very selfishly, that's kind of why I do this, and end up torturing my family and my models, and so that I can have this
models
experience.
Don't feel like it's torture.
They're really good sports about it. Let's put it that way.
Since we are on that topic, madam, I know you have a few behind the scenes videos with you today. Would you like to share some?
Together a few today. So let's see. So I have 3 just quick new videos. Where are they? I had them.
Awesome. And while you're looking for those, we have an interesting conversation about some of our guy friends having enough hair to get in the pool so that they can look pretty in the pool. And Becca suggests that they get a wig. So Dennis, get yourself a wig.
An epic cosplay wig. That's the way to go. Yes.
Yep. Sean would like to know, is there a type of fabric that you prefer to use underwater or that you avoid?
I won't work with silk. I don't do anything with silk underwater. It's, I know what the problem is here. Hang on. Silk will get ruined underwater.
Yeah.
And I have no desire to ruin anything that I'm working with. Let's see. Videos. I got 1, 2, and
Dennis says he's down for the wig. Okay. I expect to see this now, Dennis.
Come on over.
I expect to see it.
Okay, so let's see. I've got, oh, here we go. Duh. Right there. All right. I'm working on with Lightroom here just to throw this up on. So there we go. Okay. So these are 3 shoots I just did in the last couple weeks for this tarot card project. So I'm really excited about this. I feel like everything I've done up until now has been practice for this. And, just sort of, just practice. That's all it was, just to prepare for this project. So I wanted to shoot a story that had really interesting characters, a lot of characters, so I could photograph a lot of my friends. and something that, a story that belonged to the universe, not to any one particular person. And characters that each of my creative friends could bring some of their own flavor to, their own part of who they are. So it's not just about me, it's about them as well. And it just sort of worked out that doing a tarot deck, the tarot card, each card having a character, it was perfect. It's like, this is it. This is definitely it. And I started with wanting to do 22, the major arcana, 22. And that turned into 44 because I couldn't decide if I wanted to photograph on a black background or a light gray background. I edit very differently on those two separate backgrounds. And so that was okay. I'll do both. So then I'll have 44. And that turned into, well, if you're going to do the major arcana, you should do the minor arcana too. That's only 16 more cards.
Yeah,
like,
that's
okay,
it.
I'll do that. And then that turned into, well, if you're going to do that, then you have to do a complete deck. So all said and done, it's 100 images.
Oh my goodness.
Images. Yeah. So I really can't think about it too much or it'll make me nauseous. But 100 images. Yeah. And it'll be a complete deck and an extra set of major arcana. And, behind the scene videos, I'm making a book out of it as well.
Oh my goodness.
So it's going to be quite a huge project. And the only way really I can do it is Kickstarter. I've done Kickstarter campaigns before and they worked out really well. So that's what I'm going to do.
Right on. So would you like to hit the share screen so we can see these videos?
You couldn't see them.
No.
Here I am watching them. I'm enjoying them. And
you just have to press the share screen button and then make sure you have to choose that screen.
Okay,
we were enjoying listening to you talk.
Great, because I can't even see Zoom now. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So share screen.
Yes.
And share.
There we go.
Okay.
And we are seeing them.
Now I can hit
yes.
Play and try this again.
And here we go.
There we go. Okay.
So pretty. Yeah.
So I have 2 more shoots left. I have one tomorrow and then one on Friday and then I'm done.
Oh my goodness. So you're so close.
I started in June and I've been doing this since June. It's something we started to talk about last October and plan out. I had my first solo gallery show last October and had a dinner one night at the gallery for my creative friends to thank them. And, I kind of announced, I want to do this tarot card deck. And they were all very enthused. It's like, oh, great. So after the first of the year, we'll get it started. And, then life happened with the pandemic. And so we waited and this isn't going to be over anytime soon. This is going to be going on for a long time. We can do this. We can work together in a safe way. 12 feet apart and wearing masks. I have a chlorinated pool, so the chlorine kills the virus. And there are things I used to do I can't do now that I kind of miss. I always tried to make sure I had nice hospitality for my models and feed them and give them warm drinks and warm towels. And, now we kind of have to keep that distance. And I've always had my own safety person. Now they have to bring their own safety person. So it's definitely different.
Sure. Yeah, it's so extraordinary to watch and how aware they are of even so many of these little details. Like I watched in the Lovers one, I watched her move his hair out of his face enough so she knew that the camera would be able to see his face. Like,
yes,
they're obviously just doing such a beautiful job being so carefully aware of everything.
Yeah.
Just so extraordinary.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at this. Look at her. I mean, that's incredible.
Oh, she's kept it trapped the whole time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And you notice there aren't bubbles coming out of her nose. That's because she
Right.
filled her sinuses with water.
Oh my goodness.
She went underwater and took all that water into her sinuses so there wouldn't be air bubbles coming out of her nose.
Ah,
I couldn't
that's
do
so
that. I mean, that is a
crazy.
huge physical pain sacrifice to make for this.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, just
Yeah.
so insane.
These,
So Becca said, this is the only romantic ambiance I will accept from my husband now. So
yeah.
when you're looking at starting to create things like this and working with these obviously extraordinary models, you need equally extraordinary wardrobe.
Yes.
So how do you source that? Where do you get, who do you work with? What does that look like?
So almost every single one of these headpieces are made by Kaylee Johnson of Miss G Designs. She obviously makes incredible headpieces. Every single one of these came out of the pool perfectly fine.
Oh my goodness.
Perfectly fine. Yes. Her craftsmanship is just incredible. She does an amazing job. And she made these specifically for these characters for this shoot after
Wow.
talking to each of the models who made their own outfits.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So not only are they beautiful and talented and strong and incredible and all of these wonderful things, but they made their outfits. Yeah. So like
Wow.
this is Seth here. His wife, Jessica, they were the lovers.
Uh-huh.
She made these outfits. She made them for him.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I have a guy who's a swordsmith. He makes swords and he made sword, it's
Yeah.
it's just, I'm the luckiest person ever to get to work with these people. I really am.
I love when photographers say that, and it shows an honest to God true humility, because I know they feel like they're the luckiest models that they get to work with you to create these really extraordinary final images.
I feel fairly useless. I'm sitting on the floor of the pool doing this, like just with my finger taking pictures, and that's kind of it. And here they are working really hard and doing everything I asked them to and going above and beyond. And yeah, and all I'm doing is just pushing my finger down on the button.
So, I mean, of course, that's not entirely all of it. I know a good amount of the final work comes in the post-production phase as well, to make sure that everything is cleaned up and stuff. So once you have these really extraordinary shots and you take them into post-production, what does that look like?
Well, I start in Lightroom. So I have everything cataloged and organized. With this many images, you need to be, very, very organized.
Sure.
So I've got everything in Lightroom. Color balancing is really easy. I'm working with a gray backdrop, so
right.
eyedropper, and even the black backdrop, just eyedropper on it and color correct them all. I have some presets I've made for my camera, for my underwater images. I know exactly what they need, which is a little bump of contrast, sometimes to bring the whites down just a hair.
Sure.
A tiny bit of clarity, maybe sometimes. But that's pretty much it. My exposure has to be perfect. It has to be
right.
spot on. There's no forgiveness there with that. Yeah.
Oh, so pretty.
So I start in Lightroom. I do most of my, I do all of my color correction there, and then bring it into Photoshop. I try to do the minimal amount of editing as possible. as far as picking images where the model looks perfect, the fabric looks perfect, everything, you know, all the stars and the moon lined up. That doesn't always happen, obviously. So, but I try to make this as straight out of camera photography as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
This is
This
extraordinary.
impressive.
I saw this before and I was just like, oh my gosh, this person.
Again, sinuses are full of water completely. Yeah.
So crazy.
And he did it over and over and over again. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, but yeah, so in Photoshop, it can be anywhere from, you know, just a few minutes of edits to days.
Right.
If I'm doing composite work, heavy composite work. So the images on a black background generally are really minimal editing.
Mm-hmm.
Minimal.
So for the composite work, is that, are you looking mostly at kind of background elements then, or are you blending like multiple exposures with different people, or how does that work?
I have some images that have multiple people in them. And if there's more than 2 people in an image, except for one, I have one with 3 people in it, but anything with more than 2 people is a composite.
Sure.
And I've created really elaborate composites that I photographed specifically for that.
Right.
I came up with a story, an idea, a sketch. This is what I want. And then I just had my models do what I wanted separately. And then I put them together. But for the most part, you know, I might be adding a little bit of fabric here or there, or some hair might look better in one picture than the next picture. So there's that little bit of finessing and compositing that. But
right. My mom is here. She said, I want to hold my breath and jump in her pool.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's just so, watching it is just so easy to get completely spellbound by just everything that's happening. I know being in that moment, it must feel like such an escape. Do you ever feel like, I know for me, being creative means I feel like I'm not there anymore, but I'm as there as I've ever been ever. If that makes any sense. Like it feels, it is, and it's an escape from all the things, and it fills up all the spaces. And by your response, I'm assuming it is the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There are times I forget to breathe, and that's a problem. Turns out we have to do that. But so most of my models, they're blowing all their air out before they go under. And I'm so grateful for that, because then they have to come up sooner. Otherwise, they can hold their breath much longer than I can, even though I have a fairly decent breath hold. But I get under there and I get enthralled with this. I mean, completely enthralled. And these videos don't do it justice at all. They really don't. You can't see exactly what it is that I'm seeing and experience it as I'm experiencing it. And, you know, I mean, look at that.
I know, I was just watching like, it's magical. So why fantasy? It seems like that's definitely the bent that it has, is the kind of ethereal fantasy. What is it that draws you to that specifically in your work?
Well, I wanted to create work that looks like old paintings, where you're not quite sure if it's a photograph or a painting.
Right.
Something with a sense of depth and dimension. So with my light gray backdrop, I add clouds and textures and colors to add that sense of depth and dimension to an image. So it's almost like you could step into the story, and I just wanted images that people could walk up to as a prints hanging on the wall, where they could walk up to it and just and just exhale and relax, even just for a few moments, and lose themselves and not have to think about reality, just for a few minutes.
I 100% can identify with that. I think that is such a draw of fantasy, is it allows you to experience sometimes things that are more real than reality, but in a way that doesn't drag you down with all of the banality or the pain or the, you know, everything else that's just present in being real. There's something about fantasy that gives you the ability to escape that, and it's such a beautiful, powerful thing.
Right, right. Yeah. And you know, and I've seen it happen, which feels really, really good. I print my work at 40 by 60 and, you know, put these big, elaborate gilded frames on them. And like I said, I had a gallery show a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And to stand back and watch people walk up to these huge images and just get taken in with them. It's like, yay.
Yes,
Yeah.
which brings us to the other thing that I know we wanted to talk about, is the printing. And I know that this is something you're so passionate about. So there is an entire generation of photographers who have rarely, if ever, seen their work in print.
Right.
What is wrong with that?
It's a missed opportunity is what it is. And it happened for a reason. There was a cause of that. It didn't just happen. And it's not because photographers, digital photographers particularly, got lazy or don't value prints or don't care about prints. It's because there is, the technology wasn't there for years, and many of us tried that technology and failed. And that's painful, really painful, to invest thousands of dollars and then never make a print that makes you happy, to send your work off to a lab and have it come back and be, you know.
Right.
And so we're there with the technology now. We have it. We have the papers, we have the inks, we have the printers. We are 100% there. We're lacking the education. There is way more, infinitely more misinformation available about inkjet printing than good quality information. And that is a huge struggle, huge
Sure.
struggle. You know, for me, I searched for 12 years to find someone to teach me how to print. I was determined. I wanted to experience my work in a print myself. I wanted to create it myself. I didn't want somebody else to do it. And I did everything you're supposed to do, every single thing, and invested thousands of dollars and time and effort, and followed all of the instructions and asked questions, and was literally told, oh, honey, don't worry your little head about it. Let the big boys print for you. And again, challenge, that was a challenge. But at that point, it's, oh, there's no way I'm not going to accomplish this. And I searched the globe, and I finally found someone 4 years ago now, who taught me how to print and how to do it properly. I went in, you know, I was told you have to go see this person and he'll help you. And I went in and he printed one of my images for me. He just took my little drive, he put it in the computer, he hit print, printed it, handed it to me, and it was the most overwhelming emotional experience. I just sat there and cried. It's all I could do. And it changed everything in that moment, everything. It's, you know, if this guy I've never met before who didn't do anything to my file, if he can do this, then I can do this. And I'm willing to do anything it takes to do this. And I did. And
So,
you know, so I've spent the last 4 years learning. I convinced him to become my mentor, and I've learned. And, you know, some days I feel like, oh, I've really got this. And other days it's like, I'm just scratching the surface of this stuff.
right.
But I have a printer, like this 44-inch printer behind me. Every single print I've made on that printer has been perfect. I've never
Ah,
made a test print. I've never had a print come out where it was like, I've
right.
made mistakes in my prints that I didn't see on my monitor. But because I have my color management down to a science, all of my prints come out exactly what I expected them to be.
That's amazing. So what is it that photographers are missing when they don't print their work? Why is this act of printing and having this physical product in your hand so important?
It's kind of hard to have the words for it. But I normally have a print in my hand when I'm talking about this, and I don't right now.
I know when you told me about it, you had your whole book and I was like, woo.
Yeah. To see your artwork and hold it and feel it on a beautiful piece of substantial fine art paper that has a texture and a feel. A monitor is a low resolution device. A print is a high resolution image. And so to see all of that detail and the color and things in your images that you'll never see on a screen, and then to feel it, to feel the weight of it in your hand and to hold it. And it's a thing. It's like I made a thing. I didn't make something on a computer screen. I made a thing, and it has value, and I can sell it or I can give it as a gift. And it has such huge value. It's real. It's real. And we all deserve that. We all deserve that moment of seeing our work printed in a way that is so beyond our expectations, and so perfect, and have that overwhelming moment of, it's like I'm an artist now. I wasn't before, and now I am. Yeah.
Because there is a thing, right? Yeah.
A physical thing. And yes, there's absolutely a place for digital images. There are. But I'm a photographer, and a photographer creates a photograph. And a photograph is a printed piece of paper. And that was my ultimate goal all along, was to, take this photography I do that is very difficult. It is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is not all Photoshop. It's, as straight out of camera as I can get. And then taking my Photoshop skills, which are above and beyond just being a photographer, and creating a piece of artwork, and now printing it and having that physical piece of paper. It's incredible. It feels really, it's like I made something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see behind me,
Yes.
I've got a whole wall of images. So I'm a Canson Infinity ambassador. Canson Infinity is a French paper company. They've been around for 400 years and make beautiful, amazing, perfect fine art papers. And it's a secret, so don't tell anybody.
You guys, shh.
Don't tell anyone, but they may or may not have come out with some brand new papers that are game changers, are revolutionary and unbelievable, and will just rock the whole industry. And they're right there behind me. I got to test them. I've been testing them. And again, tears in the eyes, just, I can't believe they made this for us. They made this for us. Film photographers had a very limited number of papers that they could print create their prints on. As digital photographers using inkjet printing, we can print on well over 200 different types of paper.
Sure.
So to have something new that's different than anything we've ever seen before, that will absolutely change our ability to make these prints. I want them to tell me I can talk about it.
It's got to be so hard.
Yeah.
So for photographers who have been convinced and they're like, okay, I need to print my stuff. Mm-hmm. What are some of the first steps that they should be looking at to get started?
So the first thing you need to do is don't buy a printer. That's the worst thing you can do. I hate when people do that. I'll just buy a printer. That's like saying I'm going to buy a camera and now I'm a photographer. It doesn't work that way. And even less so with printing. Printing is not intuitive at all. You
Right.
need to be educated. You need to figure out first, what are your needs and wants? What is your lifestyle? Is a 44-inch printer going to fit in your lifestyle? This thing's the size of a huge barbecue. Yeah, you need to know if that's something that's going to fit into your life. And then, get educated. Okay. So yeah, I have a class that I will be doing for Pro EDU. Unfortunately, we can't get together right now to do that. So it's just right now a matter of waiting until it's safe for me to get on an airplane and fly out there and get together with them to do that. But it'll be worth the wait, I promise.
Yes.
In the meantime, though, I wrote 7 articles for the Pro EDU blog on digital fine art printing. And they're really good articles. They really are. I would recommend reading them. Yeah.
They are.
From a very different place than where you what you would normally read about fine art printing. Yes.
Nice. Okay. And we can definitely put links to those in the description below as well. So if people want to find them, they can just click on those and go and find them. And guys, we are closing in on the last little bit. So a couple of times Hannah asked about the papers, and Hannah, I wasn't ignoring you. I promise. I just knew we were getting there. So I wanted to wait and let Cheryl discuss that. Chelsea says, can't wait to touch the new papers.
Yeah. Yeah. They really are exciting. Really exciting. It's very rare that we have new papers that come out, but to have something like this is what we have been waiting for, period. And it's not, I can't say anymore. I know.
It's so hard. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear you say that too, because I know, and I showed you a little bit of them, but like, I have work that I want to print and I want to print it large. And I never have, I have some paper samples and stuff, but I don't know which papers are going to be the right papers or what's going to,
And papers are image dependent. You've got to have the right image. Like I have all these papers behind me with these different images. That was to test them. That's to see what looks good on what paper. And some of those look amazing with a lighter image and some with a darker image. And I've got black and white ones, and, different papers are appropriate for different images. And that's really important, really important. And then having a custom ICC profile, there's a science to it. Again, read my articles on the Pro EDU blog. And then, we will absolutely get together and create this class. Right now I have 100 images to edit for tarot cards. So that might take me a little while.
Yes. So I know we have the class coming up, which is amazing. And there are the articles, which we will link. All of Cheryl's links will be below in the description. Where can people find and follow your work?
Well, my Facebook, I'm a middle-aged mom with a minivan, so I have a Facebook. And then I have an Instagram. You can put the links in there. And then my website is cherylwalsh.art. Perfect. Not .com, .art.
.art, people.
.art, yes. And I have a lot on my website. There's a lot of information. I actually have 2 websites. They link to each other in there. And information on printing, information on print competition, which is a whole nother discussion that I think is really, really important, essentially important. And, the tarot card project I'm working on now, I've got videos on there, I've got information, and I'll be releasing pictures on there. So
perfect. Yeah. So guys, this is your very last chance. If you have any more quick questions for Cheryl, get them in there now, because I'm going to ask her my final question that I always ask everybody. And that is, why? What is your why? Why create for a living? Why not work at McDonald's? You know what I mean? Why not have a regular job? Why make things?
Well, I had a regular job for 20 years. I retired from a previous profession to do this. So why? Because I can, and because it makes me feel good. And the whole reason I started all of this was to feel good, to feel better. And it worked. And I feel really good. So I want other people to feel good. And I create work that is pretty and beautiful. And, you know, obviously it's not brain surgery. It's just pretty. And so somebody can look at it and feel good. Mission accomplished. Yeah. That's all.
That.
Pretty simple.
Sometimes the simplest things are layered over the top of poignant stuff that doesn't need additional explanation. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I like that. I love being able to find out from different people, and it has run the gamut so far. Sometimes people are, you know, it makes me happy and I need nothing more than that. And other people have, you know, things, just all of the things, feelings and things that have happened to them. And we all are coming at this place of creation from so many different angles. And it's really amazing to see that there's, someday I'm going to break it down. I probably won't ever actually figure it out, but I would love to know what it is about the act of making that is so poignant and powerful to people for different reasons, even.
Yeah,
but there's something.
Therapy. It's art therapy. Yeah, that's all it is. It's self-indulgence and it's art therapy. And that's okay.
I feel like if your self-indulgence ends with something other people can enjoy, that's pretty amazing.
You know, tell me the world doesn't need more art. Tell me the world doesn't need more art. The world needs more art. Okay. So yeah, there's no such thing as too much art in this world.
I 100% agree. I love that bumper sticker that has art at the center of the earth, the ART. I love that one. So Chelsea says, I can say from experience that if anyone watching this has a chance to take a class, take the class because it will really change your life. I've been to 3. Cheryl and Eric are geniuses.
Aww.
Love that. And then Hannah said, Cheryl, your work has brought such joy to my life, and I'm so happy to have your work grace my walls.
Aww, thank you.
Love that.
Yeah, my mentor is Eric Joseph of Freestyle Photographic Supplies. He's the one who's taught me how to print and changed my whole world with this. And, you know, if you have any printing needs or questions, he's by far the nicest, most down-to-earth, most knowledgeable, generous, kind, giving person in that industry that I've ever met. And revolves his life around, you know, making artists better, giving us the opportunity to become better artists. I mean, who does that, right?
Awesome people.
So yes. So contact him and he will help you.
Beautiful. And if that is okay with him, we will put links to his stuff down below as well so that people can find him easily.
Yes.
Awesome. So everybody who was here today, Hannah and Chelsea and my mama and Dennis and Becca and Veronica, Jay, Sean, Kristen, everybody, Renee, like, you know, I could go on and name them all. You guys are always amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us today, for asking your questions and, you know, giving us some of those fantastic observations. I always appreciate you guys so much. Make sure that you come back and check out the description below so that you can find all of Cheryl's links to all of her amazing stuff. So you can go follow her and show her some love. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing. This has been an incredible, watching all of your videos has been an incredible escape and so inspiring. So inspiring. You know how isolating being a photographer is.
Yes.
And now to not be able to get it, you know, be around other people physically, to have this opportunity to feel this connection with other creatives and people who get us and who I can watch, and I know that they wouldn't look at me as like, oh, you're a total freak for what you do. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, we all get each other. We all understand. So thank you for what you do. It's really important.
I very much appreciate that. And I feel super blessed that I've been able to talk to some of the incredible people that have come on this show, because I know I'm inspired all the time by being able to talk to these people and hear their stories. And I hope, my goal is that this is the kind of thing that not only brings us together, but the kind of thing that gives us insight into what we do, and to be able to see the people that we admire say, I've been here to this place and I've made it past, and this is how I did it. And that gives us hope that if these amazing people can do it, we can do it as well. We're all just regular folks trying to make stuff, you know?
And I tell you, I'm a middle-aged mom with a minivan. That's my thing. I'm a middle-aged mom with a minivan. If I can do this, anyone can do whatever they want to do. You just have to set your mind to it.
Agree. Beautiful. Thank you again, guys. Cheryl just shared some brilliant stuff with us, and I would love it if you would share this video with people you think could benefit from hearing what she has to say. You know, if we don't share things, there are people out there who might have had their life changed by hearing some of this stuff, and that never will happen for them if we don't let them know that it exists. So if you think you know somebody who could benefit from learning from Cheryl, please share this with them. Like and subscribe if you haven't, if you all want to continue seeing some of the awesome people this week. Cheryl was here, and then next week, Emily Teague will be here. We'll be able to talk to her about some of the fashion work she does and some of the nonprofit work she's done for things like victims of sex trafficking and child slavery in Africa. And then Megan DiPiero will be here with me at the end of the month. She is an incredible business mentor, and she's going to talk to us about all of that kind of stuff that goes into running a business and making yourself profitable, and you know how you can do that sustainably. So come back, make sure that you hit the little bell if you want to be notified of when there's a new video up. And Chelsea said, Cheryl, you might be a middle-aged mom with a minivan, but you forgot to add the magical part.
Aw.
True. We're all always more than what we seem. So thank you again for being here. I appreciate it so much. And we will say goodbye to our